Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Welcome back to Bengals On The Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. We finished our 25-year team to celebrate 2025 as we're rapidly approaching the start of training camp. I got a couple more smaller projects that I want to get to before that happens. So today's episode was kind of inspired by, I see the postings. I think PFF did one recently of the top, they may have done top 20 players under 25 in the NFL, right? And then no Bengals made that list. And I thought, man, are some of these guys getting that old already? Jamar Chase, and he's still young. But I looked at it like, okay, that's interesting that no Bengals are under 25 on that list, but surely they still have good young players. And I was also listening to the radio locally, and they were talking about different prospects for the hockey team, and this goes into baseball too. It's baseball season, and you'll hear podcasts or shows or see rankings online of MLB prospects, like who's the best prospect in this franchise. So I thought of that, and I can mix that with the Bengals because you don't see that for NFL teams typically. Who are the best players for the Bengals, best prospects for the Bengals right now? So I combine that with who's under 25. So again, going into 2025, the best players, I'm going to do 10 of them and talk about a few players that didn't make the list. But the best players on the Bengals roster, on the Bengals team of their 90 players, under 25 years old. And what this is going to do is a couple things. Highlight a couple guys that I can't believe they're 25 already. Chase Brown is already 25. He does not count. And what it will do is also is what it's supposed to do is get you excited for the young guys. But the young guys are important. They're in the NFL. It's different than NHL, MLB, right? The prospects, you don't get to marinate them for 2-3 years. The Bengals have tried to do that or forced to do that. Dax Hill, we still don't know what he is. Miles Murphy, still don't know. I mean, there's a lot of these guys on this list. We don't know what they are fully yet. That's not a good thing. If you're going to get back to where you want to be, think of the 2021 year, right? These young guys are going to carry you there. And I know we think like Burrow's going to carry them. Of course he is. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're going to carry. Of course, I know that. What I'm saying is to really push you over that edge, to really get you there. These young guys that I'm going to list today, maybe half of them have to take big steps forward, have to become more than just prospects, and have to become players you can rely on that are very, very good. So let's start this list with a few guys that did not make it. We'll count up from 10 to 1, the top 10 prospects on the Bengals roster under 25 years old. From the bottom of the list here, guys, that I couldn't accurately rate right now. Eric All, we have to start with at the very bottom. 24.8, so this will be his last chance to ever make this list as a prospect. He's expected to miss the entire year recovering from another knee injury, another knee surgery. We don't know if we'll ever even see Eric All again, but what we had last year, I think they're going to miss this season. And next time we see him, he's going to be nearly 26 years old because he'll start this season as 25. You see that 24.8. That's as of today. So as the season starts, guys like Dejon Anthony as well will be 25 years old. They still count for now technically. I'm doing it as of today, obviously. But Cedric Johnson, 22.8, still super young, one of the youngest players on this roster. I think Cedric Johnson has a chance to be a complimentary player, maybe even more. His highlights last year, his flashes last year were very, very good in his rookie season towards the end of the year. The only reason he's even this low is because they drafted another defensive end in the first round. It is pretty stacked in terms of prospects they have to get playing time, and that forced me to put Johnson a little lower. But I do think there's a chance he can play and make the roster, and from there, we'll see. Dejon Anthony, again, he's probably the fourth safety unless he gets beat out by one of the other guys that are at the bottom of the roster that didn't make this list. Mama John Meta, I actually don't have his accurate birthday, but it says it's 24 years old. So from there, I may have not even looked hard enough. I may have just thought, John Meta, he's not making the top 10. So we're going to put him again. These are the guys who did not make the list, to be clear. But a good special teams player. We'll see what it goes from there. He's got to make the roster first. Seth McLaughlin, similar thing. Probably the last year he can make this. Well, it'd be 24.8 next year. I guess he can make this list next offseason. But coming off of an injury, we don't know if he'll be ready yet. We don't know if he'll play. We don't know if he'll make the roster. He is a good prospect. We'll see what happens with his injury. If it was me, I'd try and string him out as long as possible. Get him on the PUP list. Keep him off the roster for as long as possible. Keep him from being claimed from other teams as long as possible, and then have him for future years. And then you have Jalen Rivers on the offensive line, who was drafted this year, who I think has a chance to be their swing tackle or potentially fight for a starting spot. He's a good player, and he's young, 22.8. We'll take that. Even next year, he'll only be 23.8 years old, going on 24. So he'll be 23's rookie year, 24. I think he's got a chance, not just this year, to have an impact because he's probably your best swing tackle. But if he ever got a chance to actually compete with some of these guys that are playing guard, there's a chance that Jalen Rivers can beat them out. Next is Taj Brooks at 23 years old. Taj is a little bit of an older rookie. We know he's had the wear and tear on him. He's had a lot of miles on that car, but he's still really good. And I think he's got a chance to be RB number 2. So there's a chance he could be a little bit higher. As I'm looking at this list, he could probably be ahead of Matt Lee because we don't know what Matt Lee is completely. I'm super high on Matt Lee. I think Matt Lee is a future NFL starter. I expect him to look really good this year and good in preseason. People go, you know what? Got to find a way to get that guy on the roster, or not just on the roster, but on the field, because he's one of your 5 best offensive linemen. I could see Matt Lee being one of their 5 best this year, and we're trying to figure it out from there. Barrett Carter at 22.7, young player. Bengals liked him high enough in the second, third round. They were considering drafting him, ended up getting him later. Obviously, Carter has a chance to be linebacker number 3. Maybe future linebacker number 2, right? Or linebacker 1 even. Demetrius Knight. He and Demetrius Knight could eventually be the 2 guys in a couple of years if Logan Wilson doesn't regain his form or if they don't keep Logan Wilson. And then finally, Josh Newton. This will be the last time he's on this list at 24.5 years old. But Newton has a chance to win that slot corner job and maybe just be the primary backup at all 3 corner positions. The 4th corner plays a ton in the NFL and always has for the Bengals. Josh Newton looks like a fine player to have there. These are the guys who did not make the top 10 prospects on the Bengals list. But there's a bunch of guys in that list that I really, really like. Let's start off the top 10 with number 10, a player we all really liked and need to see more out of in year 2. Number 10 is Jermaine Burton, turning 24 years old recently, and that makes him a little bit older of a prospect. And we talked about this when he was having issues last year about, this guy isn't exactly a 21-year-old immature player. He was an older prospect coming out, which hurt some of his profile as well. But he caught 4 balls last year. He did average 26 yards per catch. You see some of these highlights. He was a downfield weapon. Those things should remain true. Jermaine Burton has the speed, has the ball skills, has the hands to be a weapon in the NFL. I don't doubt now, and actually I like him a little bit more now, that he doesn't have to be the number 2. So now I don't have doubts that he can help this team. I think that alleviates a lot of pressure from him of being an eventual number 2 receiver and replacing T. Higgins. I think now he just has to rotate in, fit in, and provide something that the backups don't provide on this team. Whether that's Andre Yosivach and Charlie Jones or Isaiah Williams, whoever else may make this roster, Jermaine Burton is clearly different than those guys in terms of his vertical explosiveness, his ball skills, and downfield ability to win. And you're adding that with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. People were really excited about Jermaine Burton last year. It didn't come to fruition because of his own character issues, right? Year 2 seems to be different already. Let's hope it is, because if this guy makes an impact on this roster, wow, you can take this offense to another level. I still believe in Jermaine Burton, and I'm putting him at number 10 because we have to have some reservations. But at the same time, I would not be shocked if he made much more plays and caught many more balls than what he did last year with his 4 catches for over 100 yards. So if we were to put over-under right now, I would say 20 catches this season. So maybe that's just 1 a game, right? But give me 300 yards and a couple touchdowns this year, and I think that's a big impact for potential wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4.
Here's right back, going long, and they find the rookie, Burton. Jermaine Burton.
Coming in at number 9 is the 23-and-a-half-year-old McKinley Jackson at nose tackle. The second-year player had appeared in 13 games. He had one start last year. I believe 15 tackles, one sack. He had a forced fumble. He had some flashes towards the end of the year. It was really rough at the beginning. And he was coming off an injury early, I think it was camp, and then it extended into the season. He missed the first 4 weeks or whatever it was. And then once he got on the field, it was rough. And we were like, it's going to take time. I tried cautioning people, nose tackles take a while. He didn't really play nose tackle that much coming out of college, even though he had the build and size to do it. Looked like he could be an NFL nose tackle. Towards the end of the season, those flashes started to become more and more consistent, and he started to use burst and outfield explosiveness started to show up, which is rare for a nose tackle to have that. And that's when people started to say, I wonder if he is a nose, because he didn't play it much in college. He did it to a decent amount, but when you watch him and go back and watch him, and I have recently, to try and understand what he looked like at the end of the year versus what he looked like when we saw him as a prospect, I said, yeah, maybe he is that type of guy that has a nose tackle body, but is more of a penetrator. And that kind of makes it weird. Are they going to develop him into a nose straight up and have him just back up TJ Slayton and get and mix in that way? Or now you have TJ Slayton and maybe that other spot between Chris Jenkins and BJ Hill and McKinley Jackson is up for grabs to rotate and see who plays in there. I think it's a mix of both. I think they'll let him do his thing and see what he looks like in year 2. He's at number 9, and he is a fine prospect. We're talking about a third-round pick. It was Jackson and Burton, so they're right back with each other again at 10 and 9. It was Jackson and Burton in the third round of 2024. I think the Bengals are still high on both guys because of the potential both represent. I think we could still see both guys making big impacts in 2025. And if they do, huge boost for the receiver room and defensive tackle room, obviously. And with the potential to really upgrade the offensive line room, number 8 is Dylan Fairchild. And Fairchild, if we're just going on importance and who we need to be really good prospects, Dylan Fairchild would probably be number 2 or 3, maybe at least top 4 on this list, as you'll see who's on the top of the list. But Dylan Fairchild, it seems to be, is going to be the favorite to win the left guard battle, if there even is a battle. The Bengals drafted him in the 3rd round. They spent a premium pick. In my mind, premium picks on interior offensive line are the first 3 rounds. I feel the same about defensive tackle as well, even though that's getting moved up. But if you draft a nose tackle in the 3rd round, like Jermaine Burton, like McKinley Jackson, then you are spending a premium pick as well. So I think Fairchild is a premium pick. Those guys you typically insert right away and you play them as soon as possible. And you believe that guy was a good player. So you're spending a good pick on him. He's going to help your team. We already seen him wrestling and doing some MMA in the offseason. I think what we've seen so far from camp and things like that have been positive. That he's out there. He looks strong. He looks thick. He looks like he's moving well. All of these things should help give him a baseline to start pretty early in his career. And I think the Bengals are expecting him to start. And if he's good, the only reason he's lower, let's start there, and then we'll do the positive. The only reason he's lower at number 8 here is because rookie offensive linemen, especially in the interior, don't typically perform well. You're just expecting them to survive. You're just expecting them to keep their head above water and not completely drown out there. And that's not what I want in front of Joe Burrow, right? Like I want Fairchild to be good, and I want Burrow to have a good guard in front of him. Hopefully both of those things intersect, and we have that in 2025. Otherwise, the expectations are that he's rough and that he has moments that give you hope that he's going to be a really good player in the future. If he's good as a rookie, man, he's going to be one of the best prospects on their roster next year. But as of right now, I think we have to look at it like, okay, may not be so great right now. The prospects and upside for him are still there for, 2026, 27, 28 should still be a very good player for them while he's still young. But as of right now, let's keep our expectations tempered a bit and hope for the best. At number 8 with Dylan Fairchild. And at number 7 is a former 1st-round pick, and why you draft them young, because going into year 3, he's only 23 and a half years old. And that's Myles Murphy. Murphy has appeared in 30 NFL games. He has 3 sacks in his career, 3 of them being as a rookie, 0 last year, which was I think, painful for a lot of fans to watch. But when you watch the film, and I did this quite a few times on Bengals on the Brain, you can see him getting pressures without getting wins. He's a very interesting prospect still, because he still needs to get that next level of hand usage, of stringing moves together. And I would also say intensity. You got to play with certain type of dog in you when you're on defense in general, but on that defensive line, I think, in order to turn those pressures into sacks. So when you're looking for a technical jump from him, I'd like to see him in better shape, which it looks like we have. And then I would like to see him ramp up the intensity a little bit more. Well, here's the thing. Myles Murphy, why is he so high? Former first-round pick. He still has a chance to be a solid player in the NFL. Maybe his upside says that, he's never going to reach Pro Bowl status now. But if he gets his chance in year 3 now, he's only going against Joseph Ossai and Shamar Stewart. Are you telling me you don't think Myles Murphy could beat those guys out and have the second most snaps at defensive end? Hey, Trey Hendrickson's not signed right now, right? He's not extended. He probably won't be at camp the first day unless an extension happens. Shamar Stewart might not be there. You're not telling me that we're going to get the most reps for Myles Murphy that we probably have had his entire career in camp? Because remember, last year he got hurt in camp. Previous year he was a rookie. He's going to get a ton of snaps this summer if he can use it and absorb it and add it to his game. It's not unreasonable to believe that he can find another level to his game, and the Bengals need it badly at defensive end. They need it on the defensive line. They need all of these defensive linemen. We're going to have 2 defensive tackles and 2 DNs in this grouping of prospects. The question of the day, which 2 of the 4 take that step, right? Because not everyone will. I think there's a chance it's Myles Murphy as the 4. Shocker, we're going to have Shamar Stewart and Chris Jenkins also on this list, right? So of the 4, McKinley Jackson, Shamar Stewart, Chris Jenkins, Myles Murphy, you had to pick 2 of those guys to take a step of positive impact this year for the Bengals. Who are you taking of those 4? I wouldn't be shocked if Murphy was one of them. And speaking of one of those defensive line prospects that we need to take a step, number 6 is Chris Jenkins Jr., 23 years old, 23 and a half years old. He's very similar to Myles Murphy, similar age. And that's the thing about drafting the young guys, is they tend to have more room to grow. That's why we still talk about Myles Murphy as a prospect going into year 3. Very similar age to Chris Jenkins Jr. Jenkins Jr. last year appeared in 15 games. He had 3 sacks and 9 starts. 3 sacks is not bad. If you just look at the raw numbers there, that's a pretty good launching point from year 1 to year 2. The film, though, wasn't that great. There were a lot of stretches where he couldn't handle what was being asked of him. He took on double teams way too much for the Bengals defense was kind of a wreck last year without a nose tackle. And they asked Chris Jenkins Jr. to do it. And this is a guy that's not the biggest dude. He's supposed to be really good against the run. We didn't get to see that too much last year. We didn't get to see the athleticism too much last year. He ended the season, while McKinley Jackson ended it on a high note, Jenkins Jr. ended it on a lower trajectory. Still, going into year 2, reset all of that. There was a recent Reddit post where someone said, "What is Chris Jenkins Jr.? What's his upside?" And I said, it's a Christian Wilkins type of player who was with the Dolphins and the Raiders. And this isn't a guy that's a multi-time Pro Bowler or anything like that. He has a size and burst of a 3 tech, but is a very good run defender rather than a pass rusher in Chris Jenkins Jr. And these are all the things I would say about Christian Wilkins that remind me of Chris Jenkins Jr. is what I wanted to say there. And Wilkins is only a guy that gets about 3 sacks per year. Is that what Jenkins is? We would take that. No doubt about it in round 2. Can he be more than that? I doubt it. So if you're looking for what his upside is, it is more of a solid B-level player. And I think last year we didn't see too much of that. I still have high hopes. And in year 2, he's going to get a ton of reps. I mean, BJ Hill's the only guy in front of him right now. Thinking of, not nose tackle guys like TJ Slayton. So a lot of hope still on Chris Jenkins Jr. If he's good, if he's the one that's good out of the 4, if he's one of the 2, I think that's going to be a big boost for the Bengals and how they've drafted recently. They need to hit a defensive tackle really bad. And it'd be nice if it was Jenkins. And at number 5 should probably be much higher, but his rookie campaign has already taken a hit as he missed all offseason work up until training camp. Hopefully he is in the facility and ready to go for camp. Hopefully that deal is signed. And that is Shamar Stewart. Speaking of, you may be wondering where Demetrius Knight is. He's too old to make this list. Shamar Stewart, though, coming in at number 5 here, probably should be top 3. You know how I felt about Shamar Stewart. I wasn't high on him as a prospect. I didn't think he should be taken in the first round. And then we're starting off on the wrong foot. So I might be biased here still at number 5 because he should be higher than Myles Murphy. He should be higher than Chris Jenkins Jr., right? Don't you agree with that? Because he's a first round pick. He's one of the youngest players on the roster. He's got a lot of upside still and a lot of room left to grow. They need to get Shamar on the field and on the team and practicing and getting these reps. They need the pass rush help. We just talked about this. How many times they need the defensive juice. They need these young guys to take a step. These other positions, some of these other positions we talked about, it's like, it'd be nice if this guy took a step or if this guy contributed. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be great. It'd make you feel better about these positions. No, they need these defensive linemen to step up. They need at least 2 of the 4 to hit the level of good player or key member of the defense, right? I will take either one of those because right now I wouldn't say Murphy, Jackson, Jenkins. We don't know what Shamar is, right? He's a rookie, but we wouldn't say any of those 3 are key members of the defense, right? You can get that production from anyone off the streets. We need these guys to be better than that. We need them to be much more than that. And Shamar Stewart fits that mold as well. He's got a longer leash. He's going to be on the 25 and under prospect list for the Bengals for the next 3 years. He's that young, but let's get him to impact player. Maybe the Texas A&M defense was a wreck and it wasn't good for him and it wasn't a good fit. And the Bengals get him on the field and unleash him. And we're like, there we go. We got another first round talent, because talent wise, if you're just ranking talent, and taking Trey Hendrickson at the top, Shamar Stewart would be number 2, and he'd be over Myles Murphy, right? And he'd be over Chris Jenkins Jr., McKinley Jackson, and B.J. Hill, and T.J. Slayton, and Joseph Osai. And I like Osai, right? I've talked about that plenty of times. But Shamar is different. He's bigger, he's longer, he's more athletic, he's more intense, he's raw natural power. He needs all the development, though. He needs all those moves. He needs the reps. He needs to figure all of that out. And hopefully he will because they desperately need it. And at number 4 is a guy we've seen play well, and they got to get him to play well again. And that's Jordan Battle, 24 and a half years old. So this is the last time he'll be on the list. This will be the case now for the number 4, 3, and 2 guys on this prospect list. They're all 24 and 24 and a half and plus. So we won't see him again. We need to know what these 3 guys are at the end of 2025. No doubt about it. Or else you got to move on. You got to address those positions, which they've had for so long. But Jordan Battle, his rookie year, when he got inserted, he added some intensity, he added some run defense, tackling. You felt his impact right away. I thought he had a very good rookie year, very productive rookie year. And then year 2 came, and I've talked about this before, and he was a bit overweight and out of shape, and maybe didn't take the Von Bell signing the best way, didn't respond the best way. He eventually got on the field, and eventually I thought he played well again. Not as well as he did his rookie year, but now year 3, you are starting. There are no questions. If he has taken that and said, I'm going to get in the best shape I can, I'm going to be as ready to hit the ground running day 1 of camp and have the best year possible in year 3 in the league, that's huge for you because that would set you up for the next 5 to 10 years of playing in the NFL, right? If you're very good at this stage. And that's why year 3 is so important for so many of these prospects because that's when you get extended. That's when teams around the league take notice. That's when they know, all right, this guy is good and he's going to play in this league and can play in this league and have a long career. So I hope Jordan Battle has taken this step. And if the Bengals get him to be their strong safety, and I think he can do a lot of free safety too. I think he's very versatile. He's not the most athletic guy, but he's a hammer. He plays the run well. He sees it well. I think he communicates well. All of those things, you need to maximize as much of his athleticism as possible, which is why he can't be a little bit out of shape, even just a little. He needs to be in the best shape of his life. And I think he'll be a very good player if so. That's why I wanted him in the top 5. Number 1, we've seen him play really well. And number 2, it's an easy fix to get him to that level or to surpass it again. And the Bengals safety room has been a bit of a mess the last few years. If Battle gets back to what we think he can be, big boost for this defense. And at number 3 is DJ Turner. And I still think DJ Turner has a ton of upside. And I think what we saw last year was a big improvement from year 1. Let's go back to year 1. He played really well until the final stretch where he kind of fell off. Very similar to Chris Jenkins Jr., right? I think part of that is Michigan has such a rotation that these guys, when they get to the NFL, they're hitting that wall a little bit earlier. And maybe there's nothing to that. But DJ Turner hit a wall in his rookie year. Year 2, everything was better about him. Every single thing. His physicality, his tackling, his ball skills, ability to find the ball and hit the ball and deflect the ball, which is all part of ball skills. But it was a big issue he had his rookie year. We're talking about a super fast guy, highly athletic guy, great in man coverage. All of the things that we had issues with on film got ironed out in year 2. And I thought he looked really, really good. And then Dax Hill went down. And DJ Turner was inserted as a starter. And his best year was at the end. His best game was at the end of the year where he hurt his clavicle. In that Chargers game where it looked really, really good. But his numbers, looking at PFF, I'm going to scroll some of them on the side here because I posted about him. DJ Turner was really good in year 2. And I think he's got a chance because he's been practicing and Dax Hill hasn't to be the starter at one of these corner spots. To me, Turner is still one of their best prospects on the roster. But again, going into year 3, we need to know what he is. He's going to be 25 years old. That's it for corners. Corners you get until about 27. So we only got a couple years left of Turner being in his prime. So it's a tough position. I need corners to play well while they're young. You use them, you kind of abuse them, and you lose them. And he's already at that middle point. And the next guy we're going to talk about is as well. And Cam Taylor-Britt is, right? He's already 25. Like, we got to know what these guys are very early in their careers. It's something the Bengals have struggled with, I think, and why they haven't maximized the corner position. Even though they drafted a ton of them over the last 25 years, haven't had those Pro Bowl guys. It's because I think they slow cook them when their primes are their young years. You got to draft them young. They have to be young. William Jackson, we talked about on the 25-year team, was an older prospect as well. That's why he only got a really good first year from him, second year, really. And then that was it. DJ Turner, I still think, has a lot of upside in him and is one of their better prospects on the roster because we've seen him play well in flashes, in bursts. But I'll take that over some of these other guys that are later on this list that we haven't seen play well yet. And at number 2 is the other Michigan corner now, defensive back, do it all. We'd like him to do it all, I guess. Dax Hill. Again, last year for Dax Hill to figure out what he is and what he can do. Didn't get to see him much his rookie year. Year 2, they've inserted him at free safety. Again, he played 70 snaps as a deep free safety at Michigan that final year. It should never been inserted to do that for the Bengals, without giving them any reps, especially no reps on the field with Jesse Bates that rookie season. But with Nick Scott, who was a disaster, and all the metrics did not like Dax Hill that year. But I didn't think he was that bad on film, to be honest with you. And I thought he was much better when he played strong safety and we could attack the run. I think he's a good tackler. I think he's a good run defender. I think, obviously, freak athlete with length. And then they moved him to corner this past year, and I wasn't so sure, especially as a boundary corner. But he looked good in those 5 games or so that he got to start. And then I kept saying, I think he's going to look best in the slot. And I think the things you can do with him in the slot are great. And all the, this is what he did in college. Get him inside. Let him be a souped up, a super powered Mike Hilton. Maybe he doesn't have the same intensity, that same dog that Mike Hilton has, but give me the size and athleticism and speed inside. And he can do a lot of these things and really enhance your defense. And he did move inside that last game. And he got hurt. He blew out his knee. And that's typically something that guys recover from now. But you don't look your best within your first year coming back. And maybe we'll see his best towards the second half of 2025. And let's see how he recovers. And let's see if he regains a starting position. But when he played last year at corner, he actually was legitimately good. And I think that Terry McLaurin touchdown where he's in cover 0 and he's trailing in man coverage, and it's a beautiful throw and a great catch by McLaurin. People hung that on him for too much, but I think Dax was good. And I still think Dax can be good and should be good. And if they don't, because enough flashes have happened for Dax Hill, that if he doesn't become a good player for you, I think this is a failure of the coaching staff. And it's one of the reasons why Lou was let go. And we'll see what happens with the defensive backs coaches because they kept all those guys. But I think part of why Lou was let go is because a lot of these guys who haven't developed yet, but Dax Hill being the centerpiece one of not having a plan. The personnel people love them. The scouts love them. The GM, the Duke Tobin's player personnel guys all love Dax. A lot of film guys and draft Twitter guys love Dax Hill as a prospect. The fact that he's not good already was an indictment on this coaching staff and why they made the change. Lou Anarumo out, Al Golden in. Can you fix and get Dax Hill where he's supposed to be? Because if you can, I think Al Golden will have a lifetime contract for the way they've reacted in such a negative way for not getting Dax Hill to be the player he's supposed to be. But he's the second best prospect on this team. A lot of defensive players on this top 10 list. And it's why the defense is such an enigma right now, because we need to know who these guys are. And one of the guys on offense, rare guy on offense on this list, we only got 3, Jermaine Burton, Dylan Fairchild. So a depth receiver, an offensive lineman, we could use Fairchild to play really well. Number 1 prospect in the Bengals farm system, there's no farm system in the NFL, is Amari Mims. Mims is 22.7 years old. He's still one of the youngest players on this roster. And I think what he gave us from his rookie year is what the high-end expectation for an offensive lineman should be when we talk about Dylan Fairchild and resetting our expectations, right? Mims survived. He kept his head above water. He did not drown. In fact, there was a lot of games where I'm like, hey, Mims looks good. There were some other moments where it's like, yeah, these are things he may struggle with. These are things that maybe something he deals with the rest of his career. This could be rookie things. This is part of the Mims unwrapping of figuring out who he is, because he didn't get a lot of snaps at Georgia. So we don't know for sure that these mistakes will be part of the long-term evaluation of Mims, or if it's just a blip because he's a rookie and he's going against TJ Watt or whoever you may want to go against or put him up against and see how he played. I thought he had quite a few games where I'm like, okay, if that's what you get for his career, take like the Panthers game against Jadeveon Clowney. If that's what you're going to get, I'm good. We're happy with Mims. We will take this for the rest of his career. Now, the upside for Amari Mims is tremendous. We're talking about big, athletic, long, strong, naturally strong. Now, can you get him to play with the level of intensity that can turn him into a freak superstar? We'll have to find out as he matures, right? He's still super young. That's why you draft young, athletic, big dudes from big programs in the first round, because at the very least, they look like they can survive. That usually gives them a high floor with high upside. Sounds great as a first round pick. Let's see what Mims looks like in year 2. I'm really excited to see that evaluation. Of all these prospects and even some of the younger guys, like Chase Brown doesn't make this list, right? Demetrius Knight doesn't make this list because they're too old, but Cam Taylor-Britt, another one. I am so excited to see these guys and see what they look like in this, next year in their development. Some guys year 3, year 4, some guys are rookies from the ones I mentioned. Mims is the one. I want to see what Amari Mims looks like in year 2. There's a chance he is really good. There is a chance he's their best offensive lineman at the end of 2025. And if that's the case, boy, would that be a huge boost to the Bengals, who haven't drafted offensive linemen well, who haven't developed offensive linemen well, who need a draft pick to hit in the trenches, offense and defense, to be honest with you. If Mims does, big boost to this team. I talk about young guys, like how you get back to the Super Bowl, how you get back to where you're supposed to be, where you feel like you want to get to with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but you need these young guys. Which of these young guys are going to take that step to be cornerstone type players that you can rely on, that are difference makers in a playoff game or hopefully a Super Bowl? Marius Mims may be that guy. Dax Hill could be that guy. Jordan Battle could be that guy. DJ Turner could. One of the defensive linemen could be that guy. If you get that, that's how you get back to the Super Bowl. If you only get one guy or two of these top 10 to turn into be impact players or players you can rely on and for positive impacts on your team and your games, then you're not good enough. You haven't done enough, and your team probably falls short of where it needs to go. These top 10 prospects on the Bengals roster have to make an impact, have to hit the ground running. They desperately need it because they are thin in a lot of areas, because they don't attack free agency the same way other teams do, because they don't maximize the cap the same way other teams do. You are reliant on these 10 guys. And that's exciting. I hate it, but it's exciting from an evaluation perspective, which is one of my pillars of why I watch football, is for the evaluation. So making this list is fun for me. Rewatching and clipping these old clips and pulling them from other sources is part of the fun for me of the offseason, and it's getting me excited for the 2025 Bengals. I've got the next 2 episodes may ruffle some feathers a little bit because I've got, I'm not going to say it yet, but it's a 2-parter. So don't freak out on the first one. I'm going to let people freak out on the first one. And then I'm going to reel it home and give you the hope on the second one on the next episode of Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. Until next time, Hooday.
Bengals fans, tired of the same old post-game chatter? Want real insight beyond the scoreboard? Then you need Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry, presented by First Star Logistics. Joe Goodberry isn't just a fan, he's a die-hard Bengals football analyst. Every week, Joe dives deep into the Bengals game film, breaking down the plays that mattered, revealing hidden strategies, and uncovering the true impact of individual performances. Get ready for post-game analysis like you've never heard before, player evaluations that go beyond the stats, and the most in-depth Bengals draft coverage on the internet. Don't just watch the Bengals, understand the Bengals. Subscribe to Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry on the First Star Media Group's YouTube channel. Get smart, get obsessed, get Bengals on the Brain.